How's it going, everybody? On the road DFS, bringing you a second fantasy outlook video here in one night. Just trying to get these going, really try to get these going with speed here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you my Milwaukee Bucks outlook going into the 2021-2022 NBA season. We got the reigning champs here, and we are going to be discussing the Milwaukee Bucks. What has changed? What has stayed the same? A little bit of both here as we look forward to the coming years. So the Bucks, as we know, obviously just won the NBA championship, and from there they were kind of left with a decision: how much of this do we keep? How much of this do we change? And on the bench, that is kind of where we saw some changes. You want to keep the starting lineup the same, like that. That goes without saying. You just won the NBA championship, but without further ado, I'm going to start to get into this player by player, starting with one of the additions that they made, which was Grayson Allen, formerly of the Jazz and then formerly of the Grizzlies. Obviously, well, not in that order. Grizzlies most recently, and Jazz before that. But they made a trade for him. It was Morel, I believe that's how you say it. And I want to say like 2 second rounders for Grayson Allen, sending him over to the Grizzlies. So what they get in Allen is a solid defender and maybe a little bit of an underrated three-point shooter. From a fantasy perspective, Allen is maybe somebody you put on your watch list. I would say I wouldn't draft him, but he ended up actually carving out a decent role with the Grizzlies. But I mean, the Grizzlies are not the defending NBA champions. So just from a depth perspective, you got to realize that Grayson Allen is not in the same position he was in with the Grizzlies. But he still could carve out some sort of role there. We're just going to have to wait and see. And that's exactly why I say don't draft him, but put him on your watch list just in case some kind of role develops for him. Next up, we have Giannis. Kind of goes without saying. Yeah, obviously draft Giannis. I consider him with the number one overall pick. It comes down to a few guys there with the number one pick, but I certainly wouldn't fault you for taking Giannis with the number one pick. He's great. He did just have a very long season, obviously. You do kind of worry about burnout or possible injury, but you could say that for a lot of these guys. So I would not fault you for taking Giannis with the number one overall pick if you made that decision. We know what Giannis brings to the table at this point. Phenomenal. He's a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal fantasy player, and you can't really go wrong as long as he doesn't get hurt. Thanasis, I don't even know if that's how his name is said. I'm sorry, that's Giannis's brother. And he was a bit of a FanDuel value there for a while when the Bucks were resting people late in the year. But no, I wouldn't draft him. I don't expect him to have a huge role, but he did carve out like a small bench role last year, like a legitimate bench role there for a little bit. But I mean, obviously, it's still like how you draft based on that, but it is someone where if you see that bench role actually increased, sure. I mean, he's a pretty good player. He's not a horrible player, but I wouldn't prioritize him. All right, Pat Connaughton. Now, this guy is the finals hero here. Pat Connaughton for the Milwaukee Bucks. He really took advantage of the chance he was given in the NBA Finals last year. And in the playoffs as a whole. But you got to keep in mind that the door was kind of opened up. Hey, how's it going? Purple Gamer 79, love to see it. We're talking Milwaukee Bucks here, fantasy, talking about seeing how this is going to go. So I'm talking about our boy right now, Pat Connaughton. And he was solid in the finals. He made his threes. He was great. But the door was opened up by the DiVincenzo injury. So do I love Connaughton? Maybe as like a late round pick. If you want to do it, sure. We could have Pat Connaughton as a very late round pick. I would not use like even a mid round pick on him, honestly. But Elijah Bryant, nope, do not draft. He's going to be on the bench. Dante DiVincenzo, just mentioned him. He looked really good, actually. He had a really nice role prior to the injury. Then DiVincenzo got injured, and that's when the door opened up for Connaughton. Like I said, DiVincenzo could be a bounce back candidate. I'd have to look though at his medical timeline. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know if he's good to go for the opener. I would hope so, but that's not a given. So go Giannis. Yeah. Well, if you have the number one pick, you could definitely go to Giannis. That is definitely something I would not fault you for. Let's see what we have next. I don't know this guy, Mamadi Diakite. No, do not draft. Don't really know who he is, but yeah, I wouldn't draft him. George Hill. George Hill was another addition they made in the offseason that I actually I like the move. He was on the Bucks before that. He could be a solid player off the bench, maybe somebody you take with like a late round pick. But you know, I think even going mid round with him would be kind of a reach. You said your first pick is going to be Sabonis. I wouldn't necessarily fault you for that as long as you don't mean the first overall pick. But I will have a Pacers video here shortly coming out. So I'll talk all about Sabonis. But yeah, if it was like a late first round, it might be a bit of a reach. But, you know, you do you. Let's see here. Drew Holiday, well, he's the beast in the finals. He was a beast on the Olympic team. I expect him to get drafted a lot higher in most drafts than he was last year because the cat's kind of out of the bag about the type of player he is. Holiday's a good player. He might be a little burnt out. I mean, he played all through the NBA playoffs, won the NBA finals, then hopped on a jet and went to Tokyo and won a gold medal with Team USA. He needs all the rest he can get for sure, but he's not like too old of a player. He should be able to recover. My one concern is that he might be a little bit tired. Rodney Hood, that's another addition that the Bucks made. 3-point shooter is what he does. Rodney Hood. Maybe put him on your watch list or something. I wouldn't draft though. Justin Jackson. Saw him at an airport one time, but wouldn't draft him. So sorry, man. I wouldn't draft him. But you know, a solid North Carolina player though. Kuruks, it's kind of interesting. He was on the Nets there for a while. Doubt he has much of a role. If you want to put him on your watch list and see, go ahead. Would not draft. Brooke Lopez. All right, here's a center. We got a question. You see the Bucks going back to the finals this next season? I could if the Nets are injured again. I kind of think the injuries open the door for the Bucks a little bit there. But if the Nets are healthy, I can't really see anyone coming out of the East but them. But you never know. Maybe the Bucks do it again, but I don't know. I think the Bucks got the benefit of some injuries last year, but still, all credit to them for winning the championship. But anyway, Brooke Lopez, he could be a value for like the round you find him in. Honestly, it just kind of depends on. You don't want to reach for him too early, but he's a big that shoots threes, and we know how valuable blocks are in fantasy. It's one of the highest stats point wise. So you know he's gonna hit threes and he'll get some blocks and some rebounds and stuff. So he is getting a little older now, but I think Brooke Lopez, depending on the round you find him in, sure, but I wouldn't reach on it again. Oh man, this is a name, Sandro Mamukelashvili. Looks like a rookie out of Seton Hall. Haven't heard of him, but I don't know. I wouldn't draft him either. Chris Middleton. Middleton is pretty solid. He's a good player, but he's also a player where it's kind of like you don't really know where to draft him in a draft. It's tough. He's good, but he's just like not always great, and occasionally he is great. So giving advice on like when to draft him is kind of tough for me. But he played a huge role in the finals winning squad, so credit to him for that. And I think he's a solid fantasy player. But you got to make a decision for yourself based on the other players available, I guess, when exactly you want to, pull the trigger on taking Chris Middleton because it really varies, and it also depends on how many people are in your fantasy league. So we'll see about that. Make a call for yourself on Chris Middleton. Jordan Noira, he's a bench player, one of the young players for them. Wouldn't draft him. Ojale, that's interesting. That's a guy from the Celtics that they added in the offseason. He's a three-point shooter. He had a couple like really good games out of nowhere last year when he got an opportunity, but maybe put him on your watch list. Wouldn't draft, but Bobby Portis here. That's Milwaukee's hero from the finals. One of them. They had a few heroes, but Portis carved out a really nice role in Milwaukee. I don't know how consistent of a fantasy guy he would be, really, but you could definitely give him a chance. He's a hero in Milwaukee now. They're going to have a little fan pressure to give him minutes for sure. So Bobby Portis off the bench. I don't know, you could do it, and maybe somehow Brooke Lopez takes significant steps back. Bobby Portis becomes the starting center. I think that's kind of a bit of an out there prediction there. I'm not predicting that, but it is a possibility. I don't know if I'd count on that though. But Bobby Portis, like a late mid to maybe late, just overall late pick if you wanted to. Then we have Jeff Teague and Axel Tupain. I would not draft either of them. Honestly, there aren't outside of like the main guys. There aren't that many people in the Bucks that I have very much interest in. But definitely a great team, and we'll have to see how that bench plays out. But yeah, that's basically all I have for the Milwaukee Bucks analysis. Hope you enjoyed watching. Glad to get some viewers in here. Shout out to my viewers. And let's keep growing this channel, share, like, subscribe. And once we get to 100 subs, will I do any football analysis? Okay, yes, I will be doing some football analysis as well. But the thing is, I'm in some fantasy leagues where we are going to be doing the draft here in the coming weeks, and some of them are subscribed to me. So I will have to wait until after the draft to give my overall takeaways, because otherwise they're just going to watch my videos and take my strategy. So I can't have that, but I will do one before the season starts. So that's all I have for today. I guess continue to share these videos and let's grow. Going to have that giveaway around 100 subs. So I will catch you around.